Hello. Oldie but a goodie. Here we go. So this week's portion, we have Ki Seitzei. Someone pronounce it Ki Seitzei. In any event, it says the following idea. Ki Seitzei le'milchama le'evecha u'nesano Hashem elokecha v'yadecha v'shavisa shivyo. I'm not going to read the whole thing, you read it yourself. But in any event, we have interesting that when you go out to war against your enemies, and the Lord your God gives you in your hand, and you got yourself a captive, and you see over there a beautiful lady, and what happened? You desire her, and you take her for a woman, right? Take her for a wife, and it goes and gives you the whole process of what has to be done next. Achokas, Rashi, and Tosos exactly orders, but in any event, the idea nonetheless is pretty wild. What it's saying is essentially, it seems a little bit strange, and it makes it even more strange, seemingly, if you go back one page in the Chumash, right, or one section in the Torah, because in the end of Parshat Shoftim, but before we get to that, you go out to war, and you see this beautiful woman, and you're like, wow, I really want to be with her, therefore I'm going to. And the Torah says, you know what, we know it's hard for you, so we're going to let you. We know it's hard, so we're going to let you do it. Where do you find that? You don't find that anywhere in the Torah besides here. That says if something's difficult for you, oh, you really want to speak Lashon Hara? Okay, that if you really want to, then it's okay, you know? Oh, you really want that bike? You want to steal it? Only if you really want to. Over here it's saying you go out to war and you see a woman. She's not even Jewish, right? And you want to be with her? Okay, if you really, really want it, then we're going to let you do it. A pretty wild idea. Now, what makes it even more unusual is who are these soldiers that we're talking about over here? At the end of Parshat Shoftim, we talked about that they make an announcement before they go to war. Anyone who just built a house, anyone who just built a vineyard, or anyone who just planted a vineyard, anyone who just got married, go home. So that leaves, all right, we lost 10, 15, 20% of the people there, maybe even 30%. Anyone who's scared of sin, go home. Okay, another, I don't know how many. Anyone who doesn't think God's going to take care of them, who's left? You have the Gedolei Hador, right? You have Chaim Kanievsky, you have Elyashiv, you have Moshe Feinstein, you have Yaakov Kamenetsky. You have the greatest sages that are standing over there, and that's only our door and the previous door. And so we go back to the generations before. They're standing over there with their, this farm, and they're like, "Who's scared? Who just built a house? Well, not me. Who just got married? Not me. Who just what? Not me. Who's scared of sin? Not me. Who thinks that God's not going to protect them? Not me." And they walk over and like, Rav Elyashiv, they tap on the shoulder. What is it? Here's a spear. He goes, what am I doing? You're going out to war. Right, okay. Then you have this gadol who's going out to war and he sees a woman and he goes, ooh, woo! You know what I'm saying? Well, what's going on over here? This isn't just a simple person here. These are the greats of the greats, and they're the ones who are going to be drawn into this. And then it's permitted. So the answer, Chazal come and say, very famously, Lo diber Torah l'keneged yetzer hara, right? The Torah over here is only talking in response to the evil inclination. Very famous Sifri. Saying that this is a circumstance that it's possible that you might not be able to overcome. Therefore, the Torah says, okay, we allow you to do it. Now, one might ask, but what about all the other places that I might not be able to overcome? The answer is, you can overcome them. From the very fact that the Torah comes along and tells us that this is where the Torah speaks against the Yetzer Hara and says that this is where you're allowed to do it, that goes to show you that in every other place where you have a challenge, whether it's Lashon Hara, or like we talk about, or Chilul Shabbos, breaking Shabbos, or eating kosher, it's very, very, very challenging. So the very fact is that we say over here you're allowed to shows every other place you're not allowed to, and you have the ability to overcome. Everybody has a choice of whether or not they want to overcome that. Over here, this might be the one challenge that we have to fight. The one challenge that we might not have the ability to fight. But every other case that you're in, you always have a decision. Question is, are you going to give into it, or are you not going to? I want to just give you one story to bring up this point. I hope it's not too cliche by now. If you heard this before, don't be that guy. But you can, because I can't hear you anyway. Okay, so the story goes like this. There was a man by the name of David, and everybody loved this guy. He was a fantastic guy, super guy. And this guy, David, wait. Every time someone would say to him, how you doing? He'd be like, I couldn't be better if I was my own twin, right? It made people a little nauseous, but people still wanted to be around him all the time. So one day somebody came over to him and says, David, how are you always in a good mood? He says, what do you mean? It's very simple. I wake up in the morning and I know I have a choice. I could either be in a good mood or in a bad mood. I could look at things positively or negatively. I could judge favorably or unfavorably. I decide good, positive, and favorable. Because it's not that simple. He goes, it is that simple. Okay, so what happens? A couple of days after this ordeal, he was working in a restaurant. He was closing up the restaurant, and he made the fatal error that when you close a restaurant, the first thing you do is you have to lock the door to make sure that you put away all the money, but he forgot to lock the door. Two guys come in with guns. Well, pass over the cash. So he's like, oh my goodness, he goes, reaches for the keys, and he gets all nervous, and he takes them, and then he fumbles and he drops the keys. They get nervous, they shoot him. He's lying there over there on the floor. Pool of blood. They run out. He calls the ambulance. Ambulance comes, take him, bring him to the hospital. A year and a half later, 10 surgeries later, he's walking down the street, and his friend sees him and goes, "Hey, Dave, how's it going?" He goes, "I couldn't be better if I got shot again. Want to see my scar?" Right? He goes, "All right, I'd kind of be a keeper. Enough of that." Well, what are you doing over here? How could you still be in a good mood? He said, "Let me tell you something. Let's rewind. I got shot and lying on the floor. I call the ambulance, right? They come. They take me. They throw me in the ambulance. They miss. I hit my head, but they pick me up and they put me back in. There I am in the ambulance. You know what happens? They say, 'Man, you're going to make it. When I get to the hospital, there's a team of doctors waiting for me.' And then they go and they look at me and I look at them and I see the look of death on their face. I'm like, oh my goodness, I must not look too good. So as they're working on me, everyone's going crazy and doing different things. One nurse yells out, 'Sir, are you allergic to anything?' And I said, 'Yes.' And then there's a pause. And they say, 'Sir, what are you allergic to?' And I said, 'Bullets.' And they all started laughing and they all calmed it down. And I said, 'Listen, I want to live. I'm making a decision. I want to live. Please treat me like a live person and not like a dead person.' We all know, unfortunately, sometimes if a doctor sees there's no chance, you do protocol, we don't take care of it. But here, if you know someone can make it, you push it more, right? So what happens, he says, 'Please see me as a live person.' So they do, they work on him and they save him. Everybody has a choice. You might not have a choice about what circumstances you're put in, but you always have a choice in how you're going to deal with those circumstances, whether you're going to overcome it or not. One place where we find that the Torah maybe not is over here. And that's when the Torah says, listen, if you don't have a choice, so then we allow you to. Not necessarily suggesting, and we try to get you not to for another talk, but even if so, we allow you, which means every other place you have the ability to make the choice. Take care.